It was the end of August of 1984. I, along with my wife and our 3-year-old child, lived in Princeton, Kentucky. We've always enjoyed the outdoors. Both of us have been hunting since we were kids. We lived around the western part of Kentucky our whole lives. We heard of stories of a wolf-like creature taking hunters in the night. We used to go to the land between the lakes quite often before our son was born. My mom was watching him that day, so it was a good time for us to go to the land between the lakes. It's been about 3 years since we've been there. Not much has changed, even after all these years. My wife's family used to live in there before John F. Kennedy designated that as a national forest area in 1963. There was no hunting allowed, but certain people looked past that law. There are concrete structures and foundations of buildings that used to be there. People have talked that there's been military testing there at one point. One building that was the most intact is called Hotel California. It used to be an old home owned by someone with the name of Marlar. It takes me a while to remember the path of where this home was. But after a couple of hours, we find Hotel California. We look through it. It's 2 stories. A pretty good sized abandoned building if you're trying to hide out from someone. We explore more of the forest and plan on heading back to our car when we reach the edge. We go through the forest, the lakes, and just talk the rest of the time. I notice that it's starting to get late. We decide to head back. About 20 minutes later, we reach Hotel California again. So I decide to go inside and pick one of the rooms to go to the bathroom. As I'm going to the bathroom, I could have sworn I heard a noise. At the time, I thought it was a dragonfly flying past my ear. As I finish, I can definitely hear something walking through the woods. I thought it was my wife. I thought that maybe she was playing a trick on me. I go up the stairs to the 2nd floor to see if I can spot what she was doing. I look down onto the woods to see if I can find any shadows. It's pretty dark, but the moonlight lit the forest enough. I could still hear twigs breaking. At the corner of my right eye, I see a shadow. It startles me. It was my wife, and she looked more startled than I was. She said that somebody was down there. This thing walking is now on the other side of the building. We slowly go over there and look out. We can see a shadowy figure walking towards the building. Each step he takes, we can hear twigs breaking. It steps onto the concrete and enters the building. We can't make out the footsteps because the concrete is so dense. About 4 seconds of silence. We hear it sniff. I'm thinking that it's a bear down there. Not knowing what to do, we remain silent. The stairs leading up to the 2nd floor were a little bit too narrow. I didn't think it would climb up to the 2nd floor. We slowly walk over to the stairs. I grab a rock, about the size of my fist, and throw it into the woods. I wasn't sure if the thing was still down there or not. When the rock hits the trees and thuds to the ground, the thing on the 1st floor lets out a roar. It sounded like a bear, but mixed with a coyote. I see this thing walk over to the rock almost in a casual state. It was on 2 legs, and I've seen bears walk on their hind legs before. But this was different. It was a lot more comfortable, and the arms were down to the side. The ears were pointed, like canine ears. It walks over to the rock and gets down on all fours. It sniffs the rock, and then the air. It tilts its head towards us, and with the moonlight hitting its face, we can see it. It looked like a dog. My wife lets out a whisper scream and takes 2 steps back. I remain still, watching this thing in awe. We remain in the shadows, in the 2nd floor. It sits in the same spot, and just continues to sniff the rock and then towards us. This thing was big. I'd say around 6'5", maybe at least 6'2". It had dark fur and big ears. I didn't see a tail, but it was dark, and I just don't remember seeing one. It had more fingers than paws. I wasn't sure how long it was sitting there. It had to have been under 10 minutes, maybe at least 3, and then it gets up on 2 legs and walks down the trail. We stay there for about 2 minutes longer, and then we leave, as fast as we can, and as quiet as we can. We finally get to our car and leave.